June 10th. The oppressive weight of the college entrance exams had finally lifted just 2. Today marks a milestone. It's my 18th birthday. My family is gathered around the small dining table. As the final off-key notes of the birthday song fade into the humid evening air, I close my eyes to make a wish.
I wish for Mom and Dad to stay healthy, for our family to stay safe, and for us to be happy together forever.
With a deep breath, I blow out the flickering candles on the cake, plunging the room into a brief, warm twilight.
Time truly does fly. It feels like only yesterday you were just a child, and now, in the blink of an eye, you're 18.
Mom stands up from across the table. Her smile is fixed, almost painted on, as she picks up the serrated cake knife.
Here, let me do that, Mom. I'll cut the cake.
I reach for the handle, but she pulls it back with a sharp jerk of her head. She begins to drift toward me, her footsteps silent on the linoleum floor.
Exactly as it should be. The moment the livestock reaches maturity, that is when the flesh is at its absolute peak.
Dad is staring at me from the other side. He swallows audibly, his pupils dilated as his gaze rakes over my body.
Dad, what are you talking about? You're scaring me.
Hurry it up. I can't wait another second to taste him.
He doesn't even look at me when he speaks. His lower jaw hangs loose, and a thick string of saliva stretches from his lip to the table's edge.
Dad, stop it. I know you like the cake, but you're being disgusting.
I wasn't talking about the cake at all. I was talking about you.
Me?
Yi.
Mom's voice is a dry rasp against my ear. She's standing right behind me. Before I can even turn my head, a cold, piercing agony erupts in my chest. I look down to see the cake knife buried to the hilt in my heart.
Happy birthday.
Her voice is the final sound I register before the light bleeds out of the world and I sink into the black. My eyes snap open. The world is a blur of candlelight for a heartbeat before reality crashes back into focus. The cake, my parents, the silver knife lying motionless on the table. Everything is exactly as it was. My heart hammers against my ribs like a trapped bird. I can still feel it, the phantom sensation of cold steel sliding between my ribs, the absolute agony of my lungs collapsing. That knife, it should be buried in my heart right now. I jolt upright so violently that my chair flies backward. I scramble to feel my chest, my fingers digging into the fabric of my shirt. Intact. No blood, no hole, just the frantic rhythmic thumping of a live heart. Was it a dream? A hallucination brought on by exam stress? But the pain, it was too real to be a figment of my imagination. And the bigger question, why did my own mother try to kill me? If I really died, how am I standing here now?
Yi, what's the matter? You're sweating through your shirt. Are you feeling unwell, dear?
No, it's nothing. Just a dizzy spell.
Time truly does fly. It feels like only yesterday you were just a child, and now, in the blink of an eye, you're 18.
The exact same words. The same practiced hollow warmth. A freezing numbness crawls up my spine and settles in my scalp. I watch her with wide eyes as she stands up, wearing that same static smile, and reaches for the knife.
Mom, wait!
I lunge across the table and snatch the knife before her fingers can close around the handle. My hand is shaking so violently I can barely keep my grip.
I'll handle it. I'll cut the cake.
The moment the livestock reaches maturity, that is when the flesh is most succulent. I've waited so long to see how he tastes.
I look at Dad. His jaw is slack, just like before, and a thick, glistening thread of saliva is already spilling over his lip and toward the table. It's all happening again. every word, every movement. It's a perfect, horrific mirror of the death I just escaped. Coincidence? No. This is a recurring nightmare I can't wake up from. The memory of the knife in my chest is as fresh as a new burn. I stand there, frozen, as a wave of goosebumps erupts across my skin like a physical blow.
Yi, happy birthday.
Her voice is a soft, melodic purr, but to me it sounds like the rhythmic sharpening of a blade. A flash of pure, unadulterated terror ignites in my chest. I stumble backward, my chair scraping harshly against the floor with a sound like a scream. I raise the knife, the silver point trembling as I aim it at the two strangers wearing my parents' faces.
No, get back. You're not them. You're not my parents. Who are you? What have you done with them? Where are my real parents?
I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, but inside, I'm just a terrified child again, desperately praying for a miracle. I'm begging for Dad to look at me with real concern, for Mom to drop the act and wrap me in a familiar, warm hug. I'm waiting for them to tell me I'm just having a terrible dream. But the warmth never comes. Instead, the air in the room turns frigid and heavy.
Oh dear. It seems our little lamb has finally noticed the wolf in the room.
Her smile doesn't just fade, it turns rigid, like a carving in old wood. It's a mask that no longer fits the horror lurking beneath.
Strange. He spent 18 years in total. Blissful ignorance. Why would he wake up to the truth now?
Dad, or the thing wearing his shape, stands up. He doesn't look like a father anymore. He looks like a gourmet chef assessing a prime cut of meat.
How truly disappointing. Chronic fear makes the livestock's meat turn bitter and sour. We'll have to be quick.
She doesn't stop. If anything, she moves faster now, her movements losing their human rhythm and becoming a fluid, predatory glide toward me.
Stop. I'll do it. I'll use this. I swear, don't come any closer.
Yi, don't be so afraid. It's only natural for children to return to their masters.
As she closes the distance, her smile suddenly looks natural again, the same motherly warmth I've known my whole life. It's a sickening psychological trick. I know she's a monster, but looking at that face, I can't bring myself to strike.
You're right about one thing, little Yi. We aren't your parents. We are your masters.
And nothing, absolutely nothing, is more exquisite than a head of livestock on its 18th birthday.
Dad's voice rises into a manic, high-pitched screech. His entire body begins to undergo a grotesque expansion, his clothes shredding like wet paper as his frame swollen and distorts. The face I knew warps beyond recognition. The skin stretches translucent before tearing open in jagged ruptures. Dark, viscous fluid oozes from the wounds, but he just lets out a guttural, wet laugh.
Monsters.
I'm paralyzed. My muscles turn to lead. Something else is emerging from within his shattered human shell. I see it now, a jet-black horror covered in heavy, obsidian-like chitinous armor. Huge, multifaceted compound eyes peer out from beneath the remnants of his torn face. Hooked, barbed tentacles erupt from his abdomen, writhing in the air like a nest of hungry snakes. This is the truth of the world.
What? What on earth are you?
Yi, don't be so afraid.
Amidst my paralyzing shock, she has already closed the distance. Her hand, cold as ice, reaches out and gently strokes my hair with a mockery of maternal love.
It'll be over in a heartbeat. I promise it won't hurt at all.
Air!
The terror in my heart finally explodes into a raw, animalistic scream. I grip the broken knife with both hands and lunge forward, pouring every ounce of desperate, frantic strength into the strike. The blade pierces her outer skin only to strike something impossibly hard underneath. The knife snaps in half, the broken tip spinning away into the deep shadows. Beneath the shallow cut, I see a glint of the same black, chitinous armor that covers the horror behind her.
What a truly disobedient head of livestock.
The maternal facade finally vanishes completely. Her face is a blank, clinical mask as she looks down at me, her eyes entirely devoid of emotion. Suddenly, an agonizing, white-hot pain erupts in my stomach, stealing the very breath from my lungs. I look down, my vision swimming in a sea of red. Something black and wet has impaled me. A thick, barbed tentacle has burst from my mother's side, piercing straight through my gut. The barbs grind against my internal organs as it rides with a sickening, wet friction. The sharp, metallic scent of my own blood floods the room. Through the gathering haze of pain, I see their faces. They aren't looking at me with love or even hate, only pure, ecstatic hunger.
It smells so divine.
Her face begins to ripple and warp like melting wax, the monster within struggling to shred the last of her human shell.
I knew it. The meat of livestock harvested exactly on its maturity. It's pure, unadulterated ecstasy.
The chitinous horror that was my father rushes toward me. His mouth widens until it's a gaping maw of serrated, needle-thin teeth that glint in the flickering light. I feel the crushing pressure as his jaws clamp onto my neck. I feel the warmth of my own blood as he begins to drain it with a frantic, animalistic hunger.
Happy birthday, Yi.
The words are a cruel, mocking echo in the dark. For the second time today, I feel the light bleed out of my vision as I am slaughtered at my own birthday table.
No, no more, please, stop it!
I roar the words at the ceiling as my eyes snap open. The memory of teeth sinking into my neck and the cold steel in my gut is so vivid I can practically feel the blood soaking my clothes. The music cuts out abruptly. The heavy thrum of the bass is replaced by a thick, suffocatingly awkward silence. I'm blinking rapidly, my vision swirling with the chaotic, needle-like reflections of a spinning disco ball. I'm not in my dining room. I'm not being devoured. I scramble to feel my neck, then my stomach, my fingers clawing at my chest. No holes, no blood. My breath comes in frantic, ragged hitches that sound like a wounded animal.
I'm alive? I'm not dead?
I'm sitting in a cramped booth. The leather under my hands is sticky with spilled drinks, and the air is thick with the smell of stale beer and cheap cigarettes.
Where is this? The Empress KTV.
Lin Yi! Hey man, what's with the outburst? You okay? The guy sitting next to me is a classmate, Zhang. His face is a blur of genuine confusion and concern. He leans in closer, his heavy eyebrows furrowed. What was all that no more about? You look like you've seen a ghost, or maybe you just had one too many drinks?
Why? Why am I here? We were just at home. We were having dinner.
At home? We've been here for an hour. We agreed on this during dinner yesterday, remember? KTV tonight, then the net cafe for a marathon?
Dinner? KTV? The marathon?
My brain feels like it's being put through a heavy industrial shredder. None of this makes sense.
Wait, didn't we did all of this already? Yesterday? After the exams were over?
Yesterday? No way, man! Yesterday the exams finished, and we all just went home to sleep. Today is the big celebration. Yesterday? The exams finished? Yesterday! My heart skips a beat. I scramble to pull my phone from my pocket. My fingers are so slick with sweat, I nearly drop the device. I tap the screen with a trembling thumb, and the date stares back at me. June 9th.
I'm back. I've moved back an entire day.
Lin Yi! Hey, what's the matter? One of his classmates leaned in, noticing the deathly pallor of his skin. Their voice was thick with worry. You look like you're about to pass out. Should we get you to a doctor?
I'm okay.
Lin Yi forced himself to his feet, though the floor seemed to tilt beneath him. His mind was a storm of static and jagged memories. This place was too loud, too bright. He had to escape the noise if he wanted to regain any sort of clarity.
Something just came up at home. I have to go, now.
Without waiting for a reply, he turned and sprinted for the exit. leaving the neon haze of Empress KTV behind. The world outside was a cacophony of engines and glaring headlights. Lin Yi drifted through the crowds like a ghost, his thoughts a chaotic swirl of fear and disbelief. The idea of returning to his own front door was paralyzing. Behind that door waited the two entities that wore his parents' skins, monsters that viewed him as nothing more than a meal. He knew his acting would never hold up. One wrong look, one tremor in his voice, and the cycle would end before it truly began. He wouldn't survive another night. The paradox of his own existence gnawed at him. He had felt the blade pierce his heart. He had died. So how was he breathing the cold night air? Why had the universe rewound? What force had dragged him back to the hours before his execution? The logic of it remained out of reach, leaving him only with a growing list of impossible questions. When had they replaced them? Was there ever a time his family was real, or had his life always been a farm for these creatures? And what about the ones who loved him? Were they rotting in a grave somewhere, or worse? Should he seek help? The authorities? He dismissed the thought instantly. The truth sounded like the ramblings of a madman. No one would listen until it was too late. A violent shiver racked his frame. It felt as if that phantom knife was still buried in his chest, being twisted deeper with every pulse of his heart. Terror, suffocating and vast, threatened to drown him. He was a survivor with nowhere to run and no plan to follow. His aimless wandering had led him back to the silent, gated entrance of his high school.
Lin Yi, is that you?
A thin figure emerged from the gloom of the school gates. It was Teacher Yao, his homeroom advisor.
Teacher Yao.
The presence of his mentor provided a rare spark of hope in the overwhelming darkness.
What are you doing here at this hour? Weren't you supposed to be at karaoke with the rest of the class?
I couldn't stay there.
Still worried about the graduation exams? Don't let them get to you. Life is so much bigger than a single test. You should take this time to rest while you can.
Yao had always been the image of a selfless educator, always ready to lend an ear or an arm to a student in need. Perhaps he could find sanctuary here. Perhaps he didn't have to face this alone.
Teacher, I've seen something impossible, something horrific.
Breathe, Lin Yi. Take it slow. I'm here.
Yao stepped into the pool of light, his expression full of paternal concern.
You're going to think I'm insane. I don't know who else to turn to.
I believe you. You know you can trust me. Just tell me what's wrong.
My parents, they're gone. The people in my house, their things, monsters mimicking them. They murdered my real family and stole their lives.
Monsters? Lin Yi, listen to yourself.
I'm not crazy. I saw them. I saw what was underneath their skin.
Are you certain about this? This is a very serious accusation, Lin Yi.
I am sure. More sure than I've ever been of anything.
Teacher Yao's eyes darted toward the street, a strange shift in his demeanor. He placed a hand on Lin Yi's shoulder and gestured toward the shadows behind the gate.
Lin Yi, I believe every word you've said.
A wave of profound relief crashed over Lin Yi, nearly bringing him to his knees. The crushing isolation since his rebirth finally began to fracture.
Can you describe them? Their appearance? Their nature?
Lin Yi nodded, his eyes fixed on the pavement as he recalled the nightmare.
They're abominations. Their bodies are encased in some kind of insectoid shell, a beetle's carapace that's immune to any normal blade, and their stomachs, they open up to reveal these pulsing tentacles covered in jagged, backwards-facing spikes. And their eyes, they have...
Lin Yi's voice died in his throat. He looked up, and the relief he had felt moments ago vanished, replaced by a cold, sharp sense of wrongness. Yao wasn't a large man, but as he stood there in the shadows, his silhouette seemed to expand. His shoulders broadened, and his height increased with a sickening, liquid sound of grinding bone.
The creatures you encountered? Lin Yi?
A grotesque, too-wide grin split Teacher Yao's face. His jaw unhinged, dropping further than any human anatomy should allow. The skin at the corners of his mouth ripped open in crimson streaks. From the darkness of his throat, thousands of tiny vibrating suction cups emerged, followed by the slow, moist, bulbous growth of massive, multifaceted compound eyes. His chest heaved and then burst. The professional white shirt was shredded as a dozen barbed tentacles surged out, writhing like a nest of snakes.
Tell me, did they look exactly like this?
Lin Yi's world fractured. The one person he thought he could trust was nothing more than a predator wearing his teacher's face. Panic finally seized him, but it was too late. Before he could even turn to flee, the lashing tentacles had already snared his limbs and torso in a crushing grip. The spikes ground into his ribs, shredding his clothes and burying themselves deep into his muscles.
Someone, anyone, help!
White-hot agony flooded his system. He saw the monster's maw widen, eclipsing his vision. Teacher Yao lunged forward, his teeth sinking with surgical precision into Lin Yi's neck, tearing his throat out in a single, violent motion. Lin Yi bolted upright, his lungs burning as he clawed at the air. The sensation of teeth tearing into his throat was so vivid, he reached up to find only dry, unbroken skin. He was back in his sanctuary. His bedroom, the morning sun filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow that felt entirely fraudulent.
I'm alive? I'm really back?
He fumbled for his phone. The date was June 9th. It was the morning of his birthday again. This was the second time. Every death seemed to reset the clock, dragging him back to the start of this horrific day.
Yair, are you awake yet? I can hear your alarm going off.
His mother's voice, usually a comfort, now hit him like a physical blow. He froze in place, his heart hammering against his ribs.
Yeah, it's just the alarm. I'm already up.
He heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching his door.
I'm just going to pop in for a second.
Panic seized him. He wasn't ready to face her. He wasn't ready to look at the thing that had murdered him in cold blood just a few hours ago in another timeline.
No, wait, I'm changing. Don't come in.
Oh, don't be so modest. I've been taking care of you since you were in diapers. What haven't I seen by now?
She laughed, a gentle, melodic sound that seemed impossible for a monster to produce.
Fine, I won't disturb you. I'm heading out to run some errands. I've left a little extra cash for you on the dining table.
The normalcy of her departure left Lin Yi trembling. If he hadn't experienced the violence twice now, he would have believed it was all a fever dream. He clenched his fists, forcing the air into his lungs in slow, measured breaths. He couldn't afford to break down. Not if he wanted to survive the day. He had to find answers. Were his real parents gone? Who were these things? He recalled Teacher Yao's words, or rather the monster's words. 18. That was the threshold, the age when the livestock were ripe for harvest. That meant his classmates. Most of them were still safe. Some were 17, some 18. Only those who reached the milestone were in immediate danger. He couldn't fight an army of monsters alone. He needed people he could trust, people who weren't masters. His phone screen illuminated with the class group chat. Lu Jinhai was already 19. He was definitely one of them. And Teacher Yao. He quickly opened a new group, meticulously excluding any adults and anyone over 18.
What's this new group for? Lin Yi, why the secrecy? Wait, Jinhai isn't in here. Let me add him real quick.
Absolutely not. Do not add anyone else. Just listen to me. This is a matter of life and death. Do not mention this group to your parents, your teachers, or Lu Jinhai. Tell no one.
You're getting weird, man. What's the deal?
10 o'clock this morning. Meet me at the old abandoned factory behind the mountain. Come prepared for the truth, and remember, keep this between us.
He tossed the phone onto the bed and moved to the door, pressing his ear against the wood. Once the sound of the front door closing echoed through the apartment, he finally emerged. Lin Yi nearly threw himself backward, his breath hitching in his chest. His nerves were so frayed that even the simplest sound felt like an assault. He crept toward the glowing device, his hand hovering over it with hesitation. The screen displayed a string of digits he didn't recognize. No name, no location, just a void of an identity.
Who could be calling me now?
Lin Yi stared at the glowing screen of his phone. An unfamiliar string of digits pulsed there, unknown and ominous. He paused, a flicker of doubt crossing his face before he finally swiped to answer.
Hello?
Do not go there.
The voice on the other end was a low, gravelly rasp that sent a shiver down his spine. Before Lin Yi could even draw breath to reply, the line went dead with a sharp, final click.
Don't go?
Lin Yi stood perfectly still, the phone still pressed to his ear. The warning echoed in the silence of his room. He frantically hit the redial button, desperate for answers, but a cold, automated voice informed him that the number was no longer in service. He checked the clock on his nightstand. It was already pushing 9 in the morning. The journey to the hills in the back of the city would take at least half an hour by cab. He couldn't afford any more delays. He needed to be there before anyone else. He had spent hours crafting a plan, a way to tear the veil from his classmates' eyes and force them to see the truth. Pushing the unsettling warning to the back of his mind, he grabbed his things and bolted out the door, racing toward the back hills. By the time the clock neared 10, the first of his classmates started to trickle into the designated meeting point, their youthful faces oblivious to the horror he was about to reveal.
What's the meaning of this? Lin Yi, why are we all out here?
Jiang Fan, the school's PE representative, looked like he'd been dragged through a hedge backward. He slumped onto a nearby boulder, his eyes bloodshot and heavy.
I was up until 5 a.m. gaming, man. I'm practically a zombie.
Same here. I was on a tear with Xuan Si, 18 straight wins.
Another classmate chimed in, boasting about his late-night digital conquests with a grin that didn't help Zhang Fan's mood. Zijin, our class monitor, stepped forward. Her voice was as clear and refreshing as wind chimes on a summer breeze.
That's enough, everyone. Lin Yi wouldn't have called us here without a good reason.
And Yun frowned, her fingers obsessively twirling a lock of hair she'd just dyed just the day before.
Can't we just do this over the group chat? I don't see why we have to be out here in the heat. Besides, isn't there a graduation dinner later today? You could have brought it up then.
Lin Yi ignored the complaints, his eyes scanning the gathering. Aside from 2 classmates traveling with their families, only Chu Kai was missing.
Where's Chu Kai?
He said something came up at home. He's not coming.
Jiang Fan let out a long, theatrical yawn.
Seriously, Lin Yi, quit with the drama. Just tell us what's going on so I can go catch some Z's.
Lin Yi's gaze shifted to the road leading up the hill.
We're still waiting on one person.
Zijin looked around, counting heads herself.
Who else? Everyone who can be here is already present, and the others are in the chat.
Lu Jinhai.
Jiang Fan's expression soured.
Jinhai? I thought you said we weren't inviting him? Why the sudden change of heart?
Lin Yi didn't answer. He just pointed toward the path.
He's here.
Far down the path, a lone figure was moving toward the skeletal remains of the factory. Lin Yi's posture stiffened. He began to tremble, his face pale and drained of color.
What I have to show you, you'll understand everything in a moment. It's going to be more than you can imagine. Brace yourselves.
He slipped behind the rusted factory door, his hand gripping a coarse rope he'd rigged earlier. This was the only way to believe in monsters. They had to see one. They had to see it bleed. He had ensured Lu Jinhai didn't know about the meeting, contacting him separately to ensure he arrived late. The sound of footsteps on gravel grew louder, heavy and rhythmic. Lin Yi felt a bead of sweat roll down his temple.
Oh, you guys are already here?
Lu Jinhai stepped into the dimly lit workshop, blinking as his eyes adjusted to the gloom. With a sudden, violent tug, Lin Yi pulled the rope. A massive, jagged stone broke loose from its suspension, plummeting toward Lu Jinhai's skull. Lu Jinhai crumpled like a puppet with its strings cut. He hit the concrete floor with a sickening thud and didn't move.
Oh my god.
And Yun's scream was sharp enough to cut through the rising tension, her hands flying to her face in horror.
Lin Yi! What the hell is wrong with you?
Jiang Fan scrambled backward, his lethargy instantly replaced by a frantic, wide-eyed terror. Zijin stood her ground, her brow furrowing as she stared at Lin Yi with a mixture of confusion and pity.
Lin Yi? Why? Why would you do something like this?
Lin Yi whirled around, his eyes wild and bloodshot. He pointed a trembling finger at the prone body.
Can't you see? He's not human. He's one of them, a monster.
You're insane! You've completely snapped, Lin Yi.
And Yun began to edge toward the exit, her gaze fixed on Lin Yi as if he were a rabid animal.
Call the police! Get an ambulance now!
Jiang Fan fumbled with his phone, his fingers shaking so much he could barely unlock the screen.
I'll show you. I'll prove it to everyone.
Lin Yi dropped to his knees beside Lu Jinhai. He snatched up a jagged piece of stone, its edges sharp and unforgiving. He didn't hesitate. He drove the stone into the skin of Lu Jinhai's arm, tearing through the flesh with desperate force. The pain jolted Lu Jinhai into a fleeting, terrified consciousness. Lin Yi didn't stop. He raised the rock again, his face a mask of frenzied conviction.
He's a creature, just wearing a human skin. I just have to get to the shell, the carapace.
He dug deeper, his hands slick with a spreading warmth. But as he pulled the flesh apart, his breath hitched.
Wait, why? Why isn't it there?
Murderer! He's a murderer!
The accusation sparked a total collapse of order. The remaining students broke into a blind panic, fleeing the workshop in a desperate scramble for safety. Lin Yi sat frozen, the blood-stained rock slipping from his nerveless fingers. He looked down at Lu Jinhai. There was no carapace, no monster, just red human blood. The stench of copper filled the air, thick and cloying. Fresh crimson was everywhere on the floor, on his clothes, on his hands. The workshop grew silent as the last of the students vanished. Only Lin Yi, the cooling body of Lu Jinhai, and Gu Zijin remained. Lin Yi rocked back and forth, his voice a broken whisper.
He was 19. I know he was. Why wasn't he one of them? Why?
A soft, graceful shadow fell over him. Gu Zijin was standing there, her expression and voice disturbingly calm.
Oh, Lin Yi, it seems you've made a rather unfortunate professional error.
He looked up, his eyes wide with a new kind of terror. She didn't look afraid. She was smiling.
Tell me, how exactly did you find out about us?
Her words were like a sub-zero plunge. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow.
It's you.
You made a very grave mistake. But I suppose I should thank you for the appetizer.
Her voice was still beautiful, but it had taken on a dark underlying resonance that made his skin crawl.
You see, the timing of the harvest depends entirely on the palate of the diner. Some like their livestock young and tender. Others prefer them aged and seasoned with a bit of trauma. I wonder, do you know how many pieces of livestock are left in our little class? Would you like to guess?
Without warning, her abdomen split open with a wet, tearing sound. Long, Glistening tentacles erupted from the cavity, coiling around Lin Yi like iron bands. She leaned in close, her tongue flicking out to taste the salt of his tears and the copper of the blood on his cheek.
You smell divine. Truly, livestock always tastes better when it's terrified.
She unhinged her jaw and clamped down hard on his throat. Lin Yi thrashed, his lungs burning for air he couldn't take in, until the world finally faded into a merciful black. The sound acted like a bolt of lightning, jolting Lin Yi's consciousness back into existence. His eyes snapped open. He wasn't in the factory. He was sitting at a desk, a half-finished exam paper in front of him. The air smelled of pencil lead and old paper, not blood. The realization hit him with a wave of nausea. He was back on June 8th, the final day of the National College entrance exam. A figure loomed over him, the exam invigilator.
Student, the exam has concluded. Please put down your pen and stop writing at once.
Lin Yi stared down at his hand. It was white-knuckled and shaking, his fingers still clamped around the cheap plastic pen as if it were the only thing grounding him to this reality.
Just shut up!
His voice was a ragged whisper, barely audible above the scratch of dozens of other pens across paper.
Excuse me, what did you say, student?
The invigilator blinked, taken aback by the sudden, defiant interruption of the exam's sanctity. Lin Yi didn't just speak, he exploded. He bolted upright, his chair clattering against the floor with a violence that made half the room jump.
I said shut the hell up.
He hurled the pen across the room. It bounced off a desk and skittered into a corner, forgotten. He began to scream, a raw, hysterical sound that tore from his throat. He looked down at his palms, expecting to see them slicked with Lu Jinhai's crimson, but they were clean. The image of the rock descending, the wet sound of the impact. It wouldn't leave him. Every student in the hall had stopped. They weren't writing anymore. They were all staring at him with a silent, judging intensity. A bitter, broken laugh bubbled up in his chest. He looked at the rows of familiar faces, faces he'd just seen fleeing in terror.
You're all monsters, aren't you? Every single one of you. I know your secret. Stop pretending. You're not human. You're monsters. Monsters!
Son, please, take a breath. Are you all right? Do you need to see the nurse?
The invigilator stepped forward, his expression shifting from annoyance to genuine, professional concern.
Get away! Don't you dare touch me!
Lin Yi threw himself backward, his back hitting the chalkboard. He was trapped, surrounded by a room full of eyes that felt like needles on his skin. Why was this happening? Why couldn't he stay dead? The cycle, the blood, the terror, it was a closed loop of agony.
What's real anymore? Can anyone tell me what's actually real?
The pain in his head was a physical weight, a piercing spike that throbbed with every heartbeat. He felt the threads of his sanity snapping, one by one. Tears carved tracks through the dust on his face as he collapsed to the floor, his body racked with violent sobs.
Just give it back! Give me back my life! Give me back my parents, please!
In his haze of grief and madness, he sensed a movement. Someone was approaching, their footsteps soft and light.
I'm so sorry, teacher. He's in my class. The pressure of the finals. It must have just been too much for him. He's not normally like this.
Lin Yi's blood turned to ice. He knew that voice. It was the same low, gravelly rasp from the phone, only here it sounded perfectly human. Lin Yi squinted at the figure ahead. Even from behind, the profile was unmistakable.
Chukai?
It clicked. That anonymous caller from the 9th, it had been him all along. He had tried to mask his voice, but the cadence was identical. The invigilator's shadow fell over them, his eyes boring into Lin Yi.
Is he really okay? He looks like he's seen a ghost.
There was no warmth in that gaze. Instead, it was the cold, calculating hunger of a wolf assessing its prey.
I should probably take him to the faculty office. Put him somewhere quiet.
Before the teacher could move, Chu Kai stepped into the light, placing himself between the man and Lin Yi.
There's no need for that, sir. You know how much the entrance exam weighs on everyone. He's just spiraling because he thinks he blew it. He's overwhelmed, that's all.
Chu Kai tilted his head back, his eyes flashing with a warning for Lin Yi.
Lin Yi, don't be rude. Tell the teacher you're sorry, now.
Lin Yi remained frozen. In this clinical room, the line between man and monster had blurred into a terrifying gray. Chu Kai didn't flinch, his voice steady as iron.
What are you doing? Snap out of it.
He reached out, grabbing Lin Yi's shoulder and physically shoving his head down into a bow.
Apologize to the man.
Under the cover of the bow, Chu Kai dug his fingers into Lin Yi's ribs, a sharp, grounding pain. The sudden sting was a pinprick compared to a monster's claws, but it was enough to pull him back from the brink of panic. This was the second time Chu Kai had intervened. Could there really be another human in this nightmare? Just having him there felt like a small, fragile shield against the suffocating tension in the hall.
I'm sorry, sir, Lin Yi mumbled.
He kept his gaze firmly on his shoes, his vision blurring with tears of pure terror. Dread pooled in his stomach like lead. He could feel the proximity of the thing standing over him.
I shouldn't have acted out. Please forgive me. It was all my fault.
Silence stretched between them, thick and heavy. The air in the room seemed to thin out. The teacher looked between the two boys, his eyes reflecting nothing but the cold light of the room.
You're positive you don't need to visit the infirmary?
The teacher's expression was frozen like ice, a mask of concern that didn't reach his predatory eyes.
We're very grateful, teacher, but he'll be fine once he gets home. His parents are already outside waiting for him.
A thin, hollow smile touched the teacher's lips. It was a terrifyingly human gesture on a face that felt anything but. He reached out, his hand moving with a slow, deliberate grace. He patted Lin Yi's shoulder. The contact felt like ice-cold iron pressing through his shirt.
Well then, the test is behind you. Go home and find some rest.
Lin Yi's skin crawled at the touch, every instinct screaming at him to bolt and never look back. Chu Kai's hand was a steady weight on his arm, anchoring him to the spot with a silent strength. Without that grip, Lin Yi would have disintegrated into pure, directionless terror.
It's all right now, Lin Yi. Your results don't define you, and I'm sure your family will understand. Go on. Thank the teacher for being so patient with you. Thank you, sir.
He spoke the words like a wind-up toy, his voice hollow and devoid of actual gratitude. The teacher finally turned away, his tall form merging back into the clinical gloom of the classroom. Lin Yi exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, but the relief was gone in an instant. The other students were still there, seated in their identical rows. Dozens of pairs of eyes were fixed on him, silent, unblinking, and utterly devoid of human emotion. The suffocating weight of fear settled into Lin Yi's chest, making every breath a struggle. He looked at the sea of unblinking eyes surrounding him. Was the secret out? Did they all know? The horrific truth gnawed at him. His parents, his favorite teacher, even the class monitor. How many of them were just monsters in human skin?
Lin Yi, move. We need to leave this room now.
Chu Kai didn't wait for an answer, steering him toward the exit with a firm hand on his shoulder. They were centimeters from the threshold, the promise of the corridor just ahead.
Wait. You there, student. Hold on a moment.
Lin Yi's blood turned to slush in his veins. He stopped dead at the door. His mind raced in separate directions. Should he pretend he didn't hear? Should he bolt for the stairs? A flash of memory, the sensation of steel piercing his heart, the cold embrace of the void. He couldn't let it happen again. His heart pounded against his ribs with such violence he was certain everyone could hear it.
Pull yourself together. If you want to walk out of here alive, stay level.
Chukai's voice was a needle of ice that popped the bubble of his rising mania. Lin Yi forced himself to turn around, his face a brittle mask of student-like compliance.
Yes, teacher? Did I forget something?
Your pens. You left them right there on the desk.
The invigilator gestured toward the back of the room with a thin, unsettling smile.
Oh, right. Thank you. I'll just grab them.
He scurried back to the desk, snatching up his stationery with hands that wouldn't stop shaking.
Don't mention it. You should really head home and get some sleep. It's only an exam, after all. For someone like you, grades aren't really the priority, are they?
The subtext of those words felt like a physical blow to his gut, knocking the air from his lungs. A freezing sweat drenched his skin. He'd heard that sentiment before, from the people he thought were his parents. He'd always appreciated how laid back they were about his schooling. He thought they were being supportive parents. The reality was far bleaker. They weren't being kind. They simply didn't care about his grades. To them, Lin Yi was nothing more than a head of livestock in a pen, waiting for market day. And nobody puts effort into educating their dinner.
Hurry up. This way.
They ducked away from the main exit, Chukai pulling him toward the back stairwell, bypassing the crowd. They burst onto the rooftop, the sudden gust of wind whipping at their clothes and silencing the distant school activity. Chukai scanned the perimeter, his eyes checking the stairwell and the vents to ensure they were truly alone.
How long have you known the truth?
His voice was like a blade, sharp and devoid of any teacher-pleasing emotion.
It's complicated. I can't explain it easily.
How could he even begin to tell him? Where would he start? How could he explain that he'd already died? That his own birthday was a countdown to a massacre he'd already lived through? He'd sound like a madman. Lin Yi swallowed hard, the words sticking in his throat.
Never mind. It doesn't change anything now.
Chukai looked down at the courtyard below, watching the students stream out like ants toward the gate.
We have to disappear before they realize you're compromised. If we linger on campus, we're dead. Them? You mean the things? The monsters? Silence. There are no such things as monsters.
Chukai's eyes were as hard as flint, boring into Lin Yi with a terrifying intensity.
As far as the world is concerned, as far as they are concerned, you know nothing. You saw nothing. You suspect nothing. If you want to survive the next hour, you will play the part of a perfect, oblivious student. I can't just go back to pretending. Not after everything.
Lin Yi shook his head, his skin itching with the phantom sensation of a blade sliding between his ribs. To pretend that everything was normal was a special kind of mental hell he wasn't sure he could endure. He wasn't some trembling coward, but he knew exactly what was scheduled for June 10th. In 48 hours, he was destined to be the centerpiece at a family dinner from hell.
Chukai, tell me what you know. What is actually happening to this world? Why are they mimicking us? Why is everyone I thought I knew just a mask? My parents, were they even real to begin with?
Chukai let out a long, weary sigh, the sound momentarily lost in the howling wind.
I don't have all the answers, but I know this much. Those people you called mother and father, they were never your kinsmen.
Lin Yi went rigid, the concrete beneath his feet feeling like it might collapse. The chilling final words of the woman who wore his mother's face flooded back to him from that night of blood and steel. We aren't your parents, Lin Yi. We are your masters.
Masters, that was the word she used. Masters. Masters? It's a fitting title for them, isn't it?
Chukai let out a dry, brittle laugh that sounded more like a cough.
The world has become a giant pen, and we're just the prize cattle inside it. They've styled themselves as masters and relegated us to meat. They wait for the livestock to grow fat, and then the feast begins. You use the word livestock. That's exactly what they call us.
Chukai's face twisted, his eyes widening with a sudden, sharp alarm.
Livestock? You've actually heard them use that term?
He lunged closer, his looming shadow swallowing Lin Yi in the dim light.
How do you know that word? Have you seen them drop the act? Have you seen what's underneath the skin?
Lin Yi gave a slow, heavy nod, his eyes fixed on Chukai's.
I've seen it, all of it. I've seen the things they hide when they think we aren't looking. My family, Yao, even Gu Zijin, they're all the same, monsters wearing our faces like clothing.
Every ounce of color drained from Chukai's face, leaving him looking like a ghost in the storm. Without warning, he lunged, his hands striking with the speed of a predator. He seized Lin Yi by the collar, hoisting him up until they were mere inches apart.
Why are you telling me this now? You've just signed both our death warrants. Do you want us both on the chopping block?
Chukai's sudden, violent response sent a jolt of alarm through Lin Yi.
What's going on? Why are you reacting like this?
Lin Yi asked, his voice shaking.
There's a code among these things. Other monsters can't touch you unless the one feeding you finds out you've seen the truth.
Chukai explained, his eyes darting with frantic energy. He checked his phone again, his feet already moving toward the exit through the stairwell.
But you've been in the thick of it. You've looked under the skin. You're fair game for any monster now. And because I helped you back in that room, they probably have target on my back too. If I go down, my sister will be all alone. I have to make it. I have to keep her safe. You have a sister?
Lin Yi blinked in surprise. It hit Lin Yi then how little he actually knew about his schoolmate. Chukai had always been a ghost in the classroom, a loner whom nobody really talked to. Now it made sense. If Chukai already knew everyone around them was a predator, why would he ever want to be their friend? The desperation in Chukai's voice was clear. He wasn't afraid for himself, but for the one person he still had to protect.
Wait, listen.
Lin Yi interjected, catching Chukai's arm.
I'm not compromised. Don't lie.
Chukai snapped back, his face contorted in alarm.
These things never show their real faces unless their cover is completely blown. I'm telling you, it's not like that.
Lin Yi tried to find the words.
They don't know that I know, at least not in this version of the world.
Taking a breath, he began to lay out the impossible truth of what had happened to him.
I've already met my end 3 separate times.
He confessed, his voice devoid of emotion.
You've what?
Chukai looked at him with disbelief. The other boy's movements halted as if he'd been struck.
I've died 3 times. Wait, if I count my parents' first attempt, it's actually 4.
Lin Yi's voice was low as he continued his grim story.
June 10th was supposed to be my birthday. Instead, the things wearing my parents' faces slaughtered me, twice in a row.
A sharp sting of resentment flared in his chest as he spoke the words. To think that the people he loved, the ones who had raised him, were really just skin-clad beasts waiting for the right moment to feed. It was a weight that nearly crushed him.
The next time was the night of the 9th. I ran into Teacher Yao on campus. I thought he'd help me, but the moment I spoke up, he ended me. Then, early the next morning, I tried to warn the others. I gathered everyone at the old factory site behind the hill. I was so blind. Every single person in that room was one of those things. Right before it happened, you called me. You begged me not to go, but I was too stubborn to listen. What the hell are you saying?
Chukai demanded, his face twisting with confusion.
June 9th? Lin Yi, It's only the 8th today. I expected you to think I'm crazy.
Lin Yi replied, his shoulders slumping.
All I know is that they slaughtered me. But then I wake up and I'm whole again. It's like the world resets. I'm back before it all goes wrong. If you need proof, I still have that number you used to reach me.
With perfect clarity, Lin Yi rattled off the long string of digits from the mysterious call. Chu Kai's expression physicalized his shock, his forehead creasing into deep lines.
That's my private line. How could you possibly have it? Because on June 9th, you gave it to me?
Lin Yi stated plainly. The number was a match, a secret Chu Kai had guarded with his life. Fearful of surveillance, he'd gone to great lengths to acquire a ghost phone, a simple device tied to no name, meant only for the direst situations. It was a secret that shouldn't have been out in the open.
Please, Chu Kai, everything I've told you is the truth. I know, Chu Kai said quietly.
The other boy stopped in his tracks, his hand falling away from the rooftop door.
Wait, what? You actually believe me? Just like that?
Lin Yi blinked, overwhelmed by the sudden shift in Chu Kai's attitude.
You're serious? You don't think I'm losing my mind? I think you've manifested an ability, Chu Kai explained. An ability? What kind of ability?
The concept was entirely foreign to Lin Yi.
I don't have all the answers, Chu Kai admitted, his voice low. But rumors say that some of us, the cattle, can develop unique talents if we survive long enough. Maybe the universe decided we needed a fighting chance against those monsters. Though honestly, yours sounds like a bit of a letdown.
Lin Yi couldn't even argue. He felt the same way. A power that only worked when he died was a cruel joke. He was perpetually on the brink, yet unable to truly change his fate.
If you know this much about abilities, Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. Does that mean you have one of your own?
A subtle, grim nod was Chu Kai's only answer.
What can you do? Lin Yi pressed. I can.
Chu Kai's voice cut off as he suddenly tensed, his head snapping toward the entrance to the roof.
Stay back, he hissed, his face hardening. Someone's coming up, and they aren't human. A monster here on the roof?
Lin Yi's pulse hammered in his ears as he recoiled from the door. Chu Kai barely moved, only offering a sharp, affirmative tilt of his head.
Have they found us out? Are they coming to finish what they started? Not yet, Chu Kai replied, his nostrils flaring as he tasted the air. But you've been marked. That thing downstairs is following your trail. It's hunting me? Lin Yi's blood ran cold. We can't just stay here. We need to move. There's no time. Chu Kai cut him off, his voice a low vibration. Listen to me, Lin Yi. You have to survive this encounter. No matter what happens, you act like the same oblivious livestock you were this morning. Survive? How? They're going to slaughter me in 2 days anyway.
The memory of his birthday, the blood, the cold steel, the monster's mockery flashed before his eyes like a death sentence.
The 10th is a lifetime away, Chu Kai snapped, his words coming faster now. Concentrate on the next 5 minutes. If you can't make it past this door, there won't be a June 10th.
The heavy metal door groaned on its hinges, swinging wide to reveal the silhouette of a newcomer. The figure that stepped into the dying sunlight was unnervingly familiar. Lin Yi is mother, her clothes pristine and her posture impeccable.
Yar, what are you doing all the way up here? She asked, her voice light and melodic.
She wore the same gentle, maternal smile that Lin Yi had grown up with, but now it looked like a painted-on mask.
I have been waiting by the gates for an eternity. I thought you might have already left without me.
Mom, how did you find me here?
The question fell from Lin Yi's lips before he could stop it, his voice cracking.
I grew worried, so I came looking. A few of your classmates mentioned they saw you heading toward the roof, so I thought I would check.
She began to walk toward him, her footsteps silent against the concrete, her eyes never leaving his.
I was just... the test. It was.
Words failed him. The sheer impossible horror of her presence, the monster disguised as his protector, left his mind in a chaotic, frozen state.
I am sorry to interrupt, Auntie, but Lin Yi is just a bit shaken up, Chukai said, stepping forward with an easy, practiced grace.
The transformation was chilling. Seconds ago, Chukai had been a cornered animal. Now, he was the picture of a polite, helpful student.
He is convinced he failed the exam today. You know how he is. He puts so much pressure on himself. The others were all celebrating and comparing answers downstairs. I thought the noise would only make his head spin, so I brought him up here for some fresh air and a quick pep talk.
Lin Yi watched him in stunned silence. The absolute ease with which Chukai wore this mask was both impressive and terrifying. There was not a trace of the frantic boy who had been smelling the air for predators just moments before.
Is that what happened, Year? His mother asked, her eyes searching his face for any sign of a lie.
Lin Yi forced himself to breathe, to push the image of her true form into the back of his mind. He offered a small, miserable nod.
I'm sorry, Mom. I did not want you to see me like this. He managed to choke out.
The word mom felt like ash in his mouth. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to scream, to reveal the truth. But he remembered Chukai's warning. Survival was the only priority now. He could not afford to be a hero. He had to be the perfect son, the perfect livestock.
The questions, they were just so different from what I studied. I feel like I let everyone down.
He hung his head, his shoulders trembling with a grief that was entirely real, even if the cause was a lie.
Oh, sweetheart, it is just one test, his mother cooed, her hand reaching out to brush a stray hair from his forehead. One grade does not define who you are to us. You are still our perfect boy. Now let's head back. I have prepared a special dinner for you.